Hi guys, Josh here, and in recent years we've been getting a ton of farming games, and the number of them that features a multiplayer mode has also been increasing rapidly. Choosing what game to play with your friends can be difficult, especially as these games tend to be pretty long, so in this video I hope to make this decision easier for you by going over my favorite farming games that have multiplayer features, and I'll tell you how they work, how many players they can support, and all of these little details so you know which game you need to convince your friends into playing. If you don't have friends who like farming games, don't worry, I'll put links in the description to official Discord servers where you can connect with other players, and you can also join the Gaming Garden Discord, which is a great place if you're looking for a nice community to discuss farming games in general. For this video, I divided the games into multiple categories. So first we have the games where each character is tied to a specific world. So if you want to join a friend, you'll have to make a new character and start from the beginning. Then we have games where characters are not tied to a single world, so you can use your existing character, items, and experience to join your friend's world. Lastly, we have one game that has local co-op, and two games that are free to play. So let's start with the games where each character is tied to a world. In these games, if you want to join a friend, you won't be able to use your existing character, so you'll have to create a new one that you'll be using for each time you play in that specific world. These games are generally ideal if you're planning to play with the same group of friends for most of your playthrough. The first game on our list also happens to be the sponsor of today's video, and that's Wildmender. This one is a bit different as it leans more towards survival than farming, but it's one of the most unique games I've played this year, and it lets you play with up to 3 of your friends. You start with a little oasis, and your goal is to explore the large open world desert, gather resources and seeds, then enlarge and greenify your oasis. The multiplayer unlocks pretty early during the tutorial after breaking the glowing circle surrounding the oasis, and then you'll be able to invite your friends and progress together. By default, this game can be quite challenging, but one great thing is that you can adjust a ton of difficulty settings to tailor the experience to you and your friends' preferences. For example, if you want to focus on gardening and decorating, you can increase the drop rate of items, remove all of the dangers, and increase the growth speed of your plants. If you want a real challenge, you can also do the opposite and have a very chaotic and difficult experience. It's a really flexible game that can be adapted to your playstyle, and there's also a ton of content. Published by Quali, Wildmender is available on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and Steam, where it has very positive reviews, and is currently 20% off as part of the Steam Winter Sale. So check it out using the link in the description and have some fun with your friends and family during the holidays. For the second game, we have a more traditional farming sim, and that's Stardew Valley. You've most likely played this one already, and if not, you know what it's about. And it's fairly safe to say that if you and your friends like farming games, there's a high chance you will like Stardew Valley. This one supports up to 4 players either online or in split screen on most platforms, but keep in mind that the Switch version only supports 2 players split screen, and there's also no co-op mode at all with the Android and iOS versions. Another thing to note is that while Stardew Valley is available on a lot of platforms, there is no cross-platform play available. This means that if you play on the Switch and your friend is on PC, for example, you will not be able to play together. In order to join, each player will need to have their own cabin, and if you want to host your friends in a save file that was started in single player, you will have to buy cabins from the carpenter's shop, but they're extremely affordable, so you can make them pretty easily. If you want, you can also start a brand new multiplayer save file where you'll have the option to start right away with additional cabins, and even choose between having them either close to your house for a more communal feeling, or a bit further away if you each want your own space. The game also offers a few other options, like the ability to reduce the profit margin when you sell items, if you want to increase the difficulty to make up for extra players, or you can also decide if your money will be shared or separate. Stardew Valley is without a doubt one of the best farming games to play with friends. It offers a good amount of flexibility, and of course the game itself has so much content, so this will be a great option for most players. If you'd like something a bit different, then we have Roots of Pacha, a farming sim set in the Stone Age and in which you gradually discover new ideas and technologies. This one also supports up to 4 players, online only, so no split screen for this one, but contrary to Stardew Valley, there is cross-platform play, and it's available on Steam, Switch, PS4, and PS5, so no matter what platform you're on, you will be able to play with your friends. You don't need to build extra houses or anything like that, so there's no preparation needed. You just turn on the multiplayer for any of your saves and let your friends join you. If the host has already made some progress, keep in mind that new players will not have tools, so they will have to go to the blacksmith to buy them, and each tool taking a few days, it might take a while for everybody to catch up on the host. If you progress together from the start, however, things should be pretty seamless. One interesting feature of this game is that you can get married to another player, live together, and have a child, instead of doing all of that with an NPC. This is also the case with Stardew Valley, but there are the only 2 games on this list that let you do that, so if you play with a significant other, these 2 games can be cute options. Overall, Roots of Pacha is an excellent pick, just like Stardew Valley. There's maybe not as much content in this game, but it's still going to keep you busy for quite some time, and it has the benefit of supporting cross-platform play. Next, we have Fae Farm, which is available for Switch and PC, and it supports cross-platform play with up to 4 players online. If you're playing on Switch, you can also do wireless local co-op, which is done by having 2 Switches nearby, each with their own copy of the game, but does not require a Nintendo Switch Online subscription. In order to unlock the multiplayer, the player who is hosting will need to complete the first chapter, which will guide you through the main mechanics of the game, and it doesn't take very long. After that, the player can open up their world and invite friends who will create new characters. When joining a world, new players will have some essential items in their mailbox depending on the progression made by the host, such as the magic staff for combat and the wings that allow you to double jump. However, most tools will start from the basic tier and will have to be upgraded, but fortunately this can be done a bit faster than in Roots of Pacha, as you don't have to wait a few days between each upgrade. They are instant, as long as you have the materials and money, of course. In this game, all resources are shared since there's only one storage space. There's also no option to separate your money like in Stardew Valley, so it's a very communal experience. Fae Farm has a bit of combat more than in Stardew Valley, and Roots of Pacha is completely peaceful, so that's one thing you may want to consider. But despite the combat, Fae Farm is a very simple game. There's not as much depth or things to do as in, let's say, Stardew Valley, but it's easy to learn and the controls are very simple, so if you're playing with someone who's maybe not used to video games, or you want something that's very chill, it could be a good pick. The last one for this category of games where your friends will have to create a new character is My Time at Sandrock. In this one, you will also have to create a new character, and there's actually no other choice but to create a completely separate world for multiplayer, so it's very divided from the single player experience. Also, right now, multiplayer is only available for PC, but that should be coming to consoles in summer 2024. While the single player mode is based around a pretty lengthy story with a lot of cutscenes and dialogues, the multiplayer mode has been adapted into a sandbox experience. There are a few tutorial quests along with some unique milestones and buildings to work towards as a group, but for the most part, you are free to do whatever you want. This makes it really easy to just jump into the game straight away and have a fun time with your friends. One restriction to consider, however, is that you can only be active in one town at a time. So for example, you can create a town with your friends, or you can even team up with strangers directly through the game, but if you then decide to join a different group of friends, you will have to leave behind your current town and progress. Also keep in mind that My Time at Sandrock is a bit more demanding in terms of performance, so if your friends are playing on older PCs, you may want to make sure they meet the specs requirements or they may not be able to run the game smoothly. This game also focuses a lot more on crafting, combat and exploration rather than farming, and one little thing to note is that while in single player you have a setting that lets you change how long one day is, you're stuck at the default speed for multiplayer, which the game is well balanced for, but if you're used to playing at a different speed, it may feel different than what you're used to. Overall, the multiplayer for My Time at Sandrock is a lot of fun, and a great incentive to revisit the game if you finished the single player mode, since it's pretty different, but it also feels a bit restrictive in the sense that you will have to start over no matter what, and you can only join one town at a time. Now, let's talk about the games that allow you to carry the character you created in your single player world into your friend's world, meaning you will not have to start from scratch. You'll also get to make progress and improve your character while you're playing with your friends, and then use that to your advantage when you go back to your single player world. This is personally my favorite type of multiplayer, as I only play with friends once in a while, and I like how it makes it easy to just jump in and out without having to commit to a whole playthrough together, or having to start from the beginning, which can be tedious. The first option for this is Sunhaven. This game is currently available on Steam. There should be a Switch version sometime soon, and it allows for up to 8 players to play together. Similarly to Stardew Valley, you can choose if the money is shared or split, and contrary to my time at Sandrock, you can choose to make the days longer or shorter, just like in single player. The game also has a few difficulty settings that can be changed at any time. For example, you can decide to make yourself invincible if you or your friends are not interested in combat. While using your own character and keeping your stats and equipment is quite practical, it also comes with a downside when it comes to quests and story progression. This game has more quests and story content than most other games on this list, but because players can join with characters who have progressed to different points, everyone will have different quests, and even if they do quests at the same pace and follow each other from the very beginning, things like cutscenes will be separate as well as boss battles. You may also get different side quests and interactions from NPCs, which means you may end up doing completely different things from your friends. However, that can also be a plus because there is so much to do in Sunhaven, with 3 different towns and 3 farms to take care of. Being able to split responsibilities is a blessing, and I feel like this can be a really good game if you want to play with your friends and help each other out, but also have the chance to do your own thing. On the other hand, if you like to stick together all the time and do the same stuff as your friends, it will not be the best option. Next we have Dinkum, only available on Steam and supporting up to 4 players online. You can host either a public or private game, and contrary to Sunhaven, this game focuses less on the story and more on giving you a sandbox experience early on. To me, this game feels kind of like a mix of Minecraft, where you explore procedurally generated world, gather resources and craft, and Animal Crossing, where new characters are gradually moving in to open their shop and you build a little town. This game is honestly a blast to play with friends, and there's a really nice sense of freedom. Similarly to Stardew Valley, you can build cabins for your friends, but you can also all stay in the same house if you prefer. There's a whole island that you can terraform, decorate, or do whatever you want with. You can unlock vehicles like ships, air balloons, or helicopters, and it's really fun to ride these vehicles everyone together to go on an adventure. I always genuinely have so much fun with Dinkum, and because there isn't much in terms of story, it's so easy for friends to just jump in and out and play together. There's also a travel bag in the town hall that allows you to put items in there and have access to them no matter what world you're in. So you could, for example, put extra vehicles or tools in there and have easy access to them whenever you join a friend. If you're looking for a game that's a really good sandbox experience and a multiplayer that doesn't feel restrictive, I would highly recommend Dinkum. Then we have Corekeeper, currently available on Steam, but coming to consoles in summer 2024. To me, this game feels a bit like a top-down Terraria. You're in a cave, you explore different biomes and gather materials. There is also farming, which is quite important, and a lot of monsters and huge bosses. I would say this is the most combat-heavy game on this list, and it can be quite challenging. Of course, it's easier with friends, and this game supports up to 8 players online, so same as Sunhaven. And while the game is still fun to play by yourself, it was clearly designed with multiplayer in mind. One thing I like about this game is how it encourages each player to pick a different specialty. For example, when you create your character, you can choose your background between things like fisherman, explorer, gardener, miner, and each one will start with different tools and skills. Everyone will eventually be able to level up all of their skills and get all of the tools, of course, but doing so takes a long time, so it makes it fun to split the tasks depending on each player's strength and preferences, and it makes everyone feel useful. There's also not much in terms of story. You will of course have some goals to work towards together, but they're not clearly outlined in quests, so you won't have separate quests like you would in Sunhaven. I think this is an amazing game if you're looking for something to play with a larger number of players, something that's a bit more sandboxy, kind of like Dinkum, and which was designed with multiplayer in mind. For the next category of games, we just have one, well technically 2 as you could put Stardew Valley in this category as well, but let's talk about local co-op. One game that lets you do this is Doraemon, A Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom, available on Steam, Switch, and PlayStation 5. The game does have a few online features. For example, you can see other people's farms and send or receive items from other players, but to actually play with someone, the only way is through local co-op. Starting from the second day, you will unlock the 2-player mode, which can be activated through the menu. Player 1 will play as Nobi, Player 2 will play as Doraemon, and each will have access to all of the different tools, so they'll be able to farm, fish, catch bugs, all of that. However, there are some restrictions. First, it's not split screen, and it does zoom out to a certain extent, but if you're too far from each other, you will start hitting some invisible walls. Player 2 is also a bit limited in terms of permissions, so they can't talk with characters, can't access the inventory or menus, and a few other things like that, giving them more of a secondary role. Also, the stamina is shared between the two players, so it will drain a lot faster than if you were playing with the NPC companion. The co-op in this game is a bit restrictive, but it's the only modern Story of Seasons game that offers it, and I think that if you live with someone who likes farming games, or maybe you have a little sibling or a kid who doesn't mind not having as much freedom as player 1, then it could be a good option. Now, our last category of games is the free-to-play games, and we have two games that are pretty different from each other. First, we have Palia, which is available on both PC and Switch, and it has cross-platform play and cross-progression, which means you can start playing on one platform and seamlessly continue on the other one, and play with your friends no matter which platform they're on. Palia is an MMO, massively multiplayer online game, so as you play you will encounter a number of random players from all over the world. The game also lets you create a community of up to 25 players, which facilitates communication and interaction between all of you, and parties of up to 4 players. As of right now, the social features can be a bit clunky or unresponsive. For example, on the Switch, at least for me, it's impossible to scroll down the list of community members, and there's no way to easily search for a friend, so I'm hoping these things will get fixed and polished in the future, but it's still a lot of fun to play with friends. Of course, this game also allows you to play in much bigger groups than most other games on this list, as well as with strangers. The game is free to play, which means you can download it for free, play for free, but it does have a few in-game purchases. So you can buy different outfits for your character, as well as a cat that follows you around, but these things have no effect on the gameplay. There's also a good selection of free outfits that you start with, and even though they look a bit more simple, you can definitely play this game without ever feeling like you have to spend money. You get a few perks for playing with others, but it's also a good game that can be enjoyed by yourself. It's the only MMO on this list, so it feels very different than any of the other games, and it's a really good free option. The last game for today's video is Lego Fortnite, available for all current consoles, the Epic Game Stores, and even some cloud gaming platforms. Also, it's free to play, there is cross-platform play and cross-progression just like Palia, so it has to be one of the most accessible games. This one released very recently and it has a Fortnite in the name, but it's not a battle royale, it's instead a survival and crafting experience with Lego characters and blocks where you will have to build a village. You first create a procedurally generated world, then up to 7 of your friends can join you. Character progression does not carry from one world to the other, so you will start from scratch in each world. One big advantage of this game is that you can give your friends a key that will let them play in your own world even when you're not there, which makes this game a very good choice if you're looking for something to play with your friends, but you know that you won't always be on at the same time. In terms of monetization, it's similar to Palia where it's only cosmetics, but the difference is that there's not much free skins to choose from at all. You start with a random one that you cannot edit, and you can get another one by linking your Lego account, but if you want any more options, you will have to pay. Not only that, but the Fortnite shop is, first of all, a little bit confusing, but it works with a rotation system, meaning that not all of the skins can be purchased at all times. So even if you're willing to spend money, you may not find anything you like. I also personally find the whole Fortnite ecosystem a bit overwhelming, but on the flip side, if you and your friends are already playing Fortnite, then you may already have a good selection of skins to choose from, so you won't have to pay extra to have your skins in Lego Fortnite. Personally, I didn't like the game too much. If you try to build anything other than the preset buildings, it's quite clunky and difficult. I found the different biomes a bit too large and not that fun to explore. And when I played, I kept thinking I would rather just play Minecraft. But I also know that a lot of people are really having a great time with this game. And if you and your group of friends are already playing Fortnite, you have a few skins already, or maybe the battle pass, I think it could be a great pick. But in terms of gameplay, I feel like it needs some improvements. Keep in mind, however, the game just launched, so it will most likely get better as time goes on. So that's it for my list of the best multiplayer farming games. I really hope this helped you decide what to play with your friends. If you've played any of these games, let me know in the comments what you liked or disliked about their multiplayer. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.